Hey everyone, Tim Schofield here. I'm really excited because more foldable phones are coming out and we're going to check out the new X Fold 3 Pro from Vivo. Now this foldable was co-engineered with Zeiss and Vivo is looking to add a flagship tier camera into their foldable phones. The Fold 3 Pro has flagship specs. You get the Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 chipset. You've got two AMOLED displays up to 120 hertz and a lot more. So let's go ahead and take a quick look what you get in the box and then of course get some hands-on with this new foldable, this flagship foldable. Let's get started. And here it is, the X Fold 3 Pro, co-engineered with Zeiss from Vivo. Let's open up this box, and there it is, our foldable phone. I'm gonna set that to the side for just a second. We're gonna continue through. Inside this first box, we have our standard quick start guide, warranty information, SIM ejection tool, and let's see what this card actually is, our X-Care. On top of that, they also include a back plate for your phone. Does have some texture to it. It actually looks pretty premium overall. Finally in the box, let's take a look. You do get a charging cable, USB Type-C to USB Type-C, plus your charging brick at 120 watts. I do believe the X Fold 3 Pro charges up to 100 watts. So keep that in mind, but this charging brick uses the flash charge from Vivo up to 120 watts. And I know what you came to see, the X Fold 3 Pro from Vivo. Let's open it up. Taking off our plastic reveals that inside screen that's not quite square, but it's getting pretty close. We will fold it for the first time. The fold does feel very premium. I also want to point out on the back here, gives you some information, lets you know don't remove the protective film on the main screen, don't press the screen with sharp, hard objects. Slight creases and sounds when folding are normal. So what we're gonna do is take a closer look at the hardware while this phone boots up. When folded, the X Fold 3 Pro has an 11.2 millimeters of thickness, so still fairly thin considering, and when it's unfolded, it's 5.2 millimeters. There's just a quick close look at that hinge mechanism. So while folded, down at the bottom, we've got our USB Type-C port, a microphone. We have another microphone here, one of our speakers, SIM card slot. Moving along on the right side here is where your power button is, plus your volume rockers. And then in the upper left corner, you have a slider here, which I believe will turn your alerts or your ringer on and off. Now make note, there is a camera bump, which is okay considering the power of this camera in this foldable. And then up towards the top here, you do have another microphone, an IR blaster. That's nice to see, plus your other speaker. So this is a carbon fiber hinge from Vivo, and they say they test it up to 500,000 folds. There's just a quick look. It will fold completely flush when it's open. And along the back, some Vivo branding, plus our camera system. It does say Vivo Zeiss co-engineered extreme imagination. And with that camera system, you get a 50 megapixel main sensor. This is their VCS true color main sensor with optical image stabilization. You also get a 64 megapixel telephoto lens with optical image stabilization. It will zoom up to 3 times plus 100 times digitally. And then the bottom right here, you do have a 50 megapixel ultra wide angle lens. Before we get to the inside display, let's run through the setup process, talk about anything that's noteworthy. Something really cool about the X Fold 3 Pro is that it has a fingerprint scanner on both of the displays. So let's go ahead and start setting this up. There is a screen protector pre-installed on this outside display. You can leave it on if you'd like to. Continuing through some really nice haptic feedback. It does feel very premium. There we go, fingerprint is added. You can also set face unlock if you'd like to. And we're all set up and ready to go with FunTouch OS, which is Vivo's skin on top of Android. Let's take a look at those displays. Still building up the suspense. This is a 6.53-inch AMOLED display, up to 120 hertz refresh rate. Now this is a 2748 by 1172 resolution, which puts it at a 21:9 aspect ratio, so a little bit skinnier and taller than most candy bar style phones out there now. What that allows for, however, is a bit of a more square inside display. You can tell it's a little bit wider here. The aspect ratio is actually 1.13 to 1, so near square, but not quite. This is an 8.03-inch AMOLED display, 2480 by 2200 resolution, so over a 2K resolution on that inside screen. When I'm looking directly at it, I can't notice that crease at all, but when the light hits it, yes, you can sort of see it, and you can barely feel the crease. It's actually really impressive how minimal that crease is. Also, of note, you get up to 4,500 nits of brightness. I love that, especially on a foldable and the inside display of a foldable. Again, both displays are 120 Hz, which I can tell is enabled right away. Going into settings, display, and brightness. On the right side here, we do have the smart switch enabled, so it will change the refresh rate depending on the type of content that's shown. You can bump it down to 60 Hz. You can force 120 Hz, and then a self-adaptive slide for frame change. All right, now let's take another quick close-up look of this hinge. I just want to give you a good idea of what it looks like from the inside as it's closing, when it's fully closed, and then opening it back up. Like I said earlier, the hinge feels really premium. You can also stop it at certain angles. I'm not holding this up whatsoever, so at certain angles you can actually hold it still, which is nice. It does allow for, you need a little force to open and close it, but that's actually a good thing. Makes it feel more premium and allows for you to just set it on a table and watch content. Also, I'm actually really excited to test this out. First of all, of course, the standard in-display fingerprint scanner on the outside display. It actually seems to be really quick and accurate. Doesn't need the screen on to unlock. It actually unlocked right away. I'm actually very pleased to see that. But now, where is it? Can you take a guess? And it's right there in the corner. No matter what orientation you're holding it, obviously it's a physical piece of hardware, so that's where it's going to be at all times, which makes a lot of sense because when you unlock it, you just flip open your screen, it's going to say, okay, you can unlock it. This is really nice. I actually might prefer it. I know it's really handy to have it on the power button, actually, but does just make for a more seamless experience. Also, seems to unlock right away. Also pointing out, if you press and hold on this taskbar, it will get rid of those quick shortcuts, but I like having those. You can just press and hold to get them back. Now, let's jump into that camera application. Snap some quick pictures right here. Seems to be very quick and snappy. I've actually been really happy with Vivo's cameras lately on their devices. Anyways, that 0.6x is the ultra wide angle lens. And of course, like I mentioned, there is 2x zoom, 3 times optical zoom, and then you can also do 10x zoom and zoom all the way up to 100x if you'd like to. Of note, on the left here, you can change from vivid texture to Zeiss natural. So there's a group of different color tuning. Also, there's an icon in the upper left here. If you press it, this will give you just a quick little preview of that picture, and you can also quick delete them on the fly. This is bringing me to albums. I haven't gone in there yet. You also can send the preview down and flip them back and forth. Also, what if, let's say I have the camera app open and I close it? It will continue right here on the screen. And of course, flipping it over to the front-facing camera, there is a camera right there. However, if I press this icon, you can take that rear selfie right there, which you're gonna make sure everyone looks over on the left side at those lenses, and you can get a better quality shot using those main lenses as opposed to that front-facing camera. Keep in mind, this phone also has the Vivo V3 chip to power some of the experiences. In terms of video, you can go all the way up to 8K. 30 frames per second, really happy to see that, plus 4K 60. Not only that, that V3 chip is going to power this cinematic portrait mode, so you can shoot videos with a more portrait mode in the backdrop up to 4K 30 frames per second. There is a portrait mode for pictures. You can choose the zoom button style, so there's 35 millimeters, 50, 85, 100, depending on the specific type of bokeh you want. You can also change your f-stop in the left. In the bottom left, you can also choose the portrait kit. This actually just kind of gives you a bit better idea of what portrait kit. So 55 classic or 50 millimeters natural. You can quick jump to your night mode and a snapshot mode, and then going down there is more. So there's all of your other settings such as high resolution, slow-mo, astrophotography, and a pro mode. This phone's camera is pretty stacked overall. I'm actually really happy with it. It's very comfortable in the hand. I do like, you know, how thin it is, and it weighs 236 grams, which, you know, isn't necessarily light by any means, but considering foldables, it's very light. Jumping back into settings, there's foldable devices, so main screen app display ratio, so you can change that on the fly. There's a flex mode when you half tilt, and you can do this on a per app basis. So if I do go to quickly jump to Chrome and I turn on flex mode, there we go. You'll see you have a bunch of controls down at the bottom, but it still has the application up towards the top. Some other settings, you have smart screen shift, so when it's in tent mode, half folded, it will automatically switch to the cover screen display, and then taskbar. So when you're switching between apps, there's that taskbar down at the bottom. One more important one, folding the screen. You can have it keep the screen on or turn off the cover screen. I like to actually change that depending on the specific app that's used. There are a bunch of personalized animation effects, home screen transition, dynamic effects, ambient light, fingerprint icon animation, charging animation, so a lot of ways you can customize your phone. There is an ultra game mode where you can take full advantage of that Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 chipset that this phone has. You also have some AI features like notes, transcription, translation as well. And also, I really want to point out, I do like the vibration motor that they use in this foldable phone, whether it's unfolded or folded, it's very comfortable. Finally, you do get a 5,700 milliamp hour battery with that fast charge. You can fast charge up to 50 watts wirelessly as well. And also, as promised, just putting the back plate on just so you can see what a little bit of extra protection is going to do. Actually fits very flush around the phone, opening it up. It doesn't seem to be coming off whatsoever. It doesn't take up a lot of space, still feels very minimal, and actually adds a lot of grip to the side. It's more of a clear look to the side, so there's a ton of grip and still has that texture on the back. Overall, the X Fold 3 Pro from Vivo has really impressed me. Definitely excited to see how good these foldable phones are getting. You know me, this is probably the phone I would have in my pocket if I wasn't testing a million different phones. A foldable would be it. Oh, and by the way, there's an IPX8 rating as well, so just keep that in mind. But anyways, be sure to subscribe. A lot more content coming soon. Be sure to give this video a thumbs up as well. And as always, thanks for watching.